Hi, my dear friends. Come back to our podcast. Today, what we want to be intensively talking about is what most men would follow, the work hard, play hard success formula. And the attractive man versus an aligned man is really a fine line between the both aspect. However, in our modern society, most people would cherish and recognize the hustler, the one who works hard, play hard, because in this culture of ours where everything is moving so fast, the man or the one with money, physique, the attractive lifestyle, and ones who probably and possibly even consistently present himself as an attractive person, being able to capture and gain the attention of the people around his life. And this is how high performers are usually carry themselves on the external. And it is not uncommon and very easily recognized when we enter a place where we can immediately identify what we call um, the alpha man. The alpha man, the one that is loud, the one who is prominent, and the one who can just gain attention and attraction through just some simple presentation words. And the way that he speaks is sometimes can make average men like you and me feel very small and intimidating. And however, this goes down to the fact that do we want to practice this kind of attraction model in our life where when the excitement dies down and when the social event sets, what the man would ideally be facing on the inside would be fatigue, restlessness, probably the constant need for attention after the dopamine dies down, and there could possibly also be emotional swing from a high energy place and suddenly the person is left being with himself and he constantly wants to know how can he continue to perform to attract without the presence of anybody. So the key question here, why do men like this who has so-called everything, the lifestyle, the family, the riches, the looks, the physique, the admiration, at times still feels unsettled? So we go down to identify this high performing identity because high performance, by the way, let's not look down at them because they are highly driven. But their drive, where do their drive usually come from? The drive usually comes from an outside, which a constant need to prove their worth and being in stillness when there's a need to chase, it will allow them to not face their insecurity. And the fact that when they slow down in whichever area of their life, there's this fear and unsettling emotions. The desire to constantly be at the top and at the center, or maybe even when nobody is looking, the need to pump and pose themselves, the desire to stay relevant in all situations. And let's look at these characteristics because the moment that high driven performer attractive man continues with his productivity, the productivity itself is interlinked with his identity. And when that identity to prove and to produce builds the momentum in their life, it gives them the dopamine and the feeling of confidence. Because when the person is in motion and alluring with confidence as validated from people on the outside, the admiration gives these people assurance, confirmation, and silent validation. However, what goes on inside these men, because I speak from personal experience, the internal side, when these attractive men stop winning in whichever areas pertaining to the rules of the game that they are playing. They have a sense of value drop. And when that dependency on constantly winning, depending on what game they are playing, it becomes a addiction to performance. So if we look at this work hard, play hard cycle in this society of ours, and not limiting to the countries that we are in, and I believe many countries as well, the work hard, play hard is easily being admired and so-called even respected. So how does this phase one look like? Working harder and more than the others seems to be more recognizable. The longer hours I work and I share with others is a symbol of hustle. And the more experience I share about my life, oh no, I'm feeling this pressure as I speak. The ability to handle stressful, intense situations and making multi-million, maybe even life-changing decisions for others. It puts this high-performing man at the top. And as a result, the reward of being in overdrive, this man tends to over-party, wanting sex, lots of sex, indulgence of spending, needing attention from anyone, if possible, everyone that they know, or maybe don't even know. And as a result, this dopamine, this high, needs to be released to the next high of theirs, even when they are so-called not performing or working. And eventually, this is not sustainable. Why? Because the man gets tired, or the man goes home, or the man gets an opportunity to face themselves. This is where the dopamine starts to settle. The sense of emptiness come in. And the loss of purpose, the feeling of loss of purpose becomes real. So instead of resting or accepting where this is right now, the man chase more. How do I chase more? Sleep less, party more, find more to do after doing more. And as a result, the recovery itself, the high becomes the high. The next recovery would be to pursue a next high, and it becomes a constant push of stimulation, not a place of rest or restoration. And over time, can you imagine any Ferrari constantly driving at the highest RPM without needing to service, to change the tires, or maybe even let the driver take a breather? Over time, the nervous system, and I believe every one of us watching this video right now, we have a body, okay, this physical body. And having a body, there's a nervous system, and the nervous system over time gets deregulated. The quality of decision drops. That means instead of deciding decision based on clarity and purpose, it becomes dependent on a high and dopamine, or so-called society perception and acceptance of what is good. The emotional stability eventually weakens because of the threshold and the expansion that it is brought to stretch and stretch and stretch himself. And this is why a lot of high-performing, attractive men get stuck. The constant feedback these attractive men needs, the constant pre-selection, I cannot be single, I ideally has to have a couple of relationship, I need to have the most beautiful girlfriend, most beautiful wife, the biggest house, the fastest car, maybe a few cars, a few friends, and I want to be seen in what the society believes, and I unconsciously also maybe even believe that this is good for me. The attention, whether it is on the ground in person or whether it is the validation online, admiration from any people, it doesn't matter, because that one more like, that one thumbs up, that good job, it doesn't matter who it comes from, because the only person that is not acknowledging himself to be able to rest is he himself. And these attractive men are constantly on the lookout for opportunities. And what do you mean by look out for opportunities? As a business entrepreneur, yes, of course, the mindset of always be on, always be closing, ABC, is always there, which also leads to the attitude of looking for more in their relationship, in their self-rest, in their existing friendship that they might not be able to cherish and build quality, but instead continue to look for more because quantity is more valued than quality itself. And this cuts and eats into the identity, because the hidden dangers of this, when attraction becomes a constant validation and excitement itself becomes connection, and intensity over time is mistaken for compatibility. And can you see how and why most high performers, attractive men, the alpha, usually their relationship doesn't last? And I'm not making a generalization here. And due to the context, and as we have been following throughout from the start of the video to now, it makes sense for the internal to be unstable. And how can the high RPM, unstable internal emotions, be able to find stability in the relationship that they pursue? And as a result, there could be a lot of passion, but constant highs and lows of drama. It could be exciting in their life. Then again, it constantly drains even when they are home, or maybe even in their bedroom, that this constant high needs to be maintained. And as the success expands the lifestyle faster than they can find their emotional grounding, my dear friends. And this is the turning point where most men eventually, at one point of time, at a season of their life, they need to face. Something will shift. And what is it that shift? The man will realize that the excitement of the wins becomes shorter. Whatever pleasure that they pursue fades faster. The crash after the high becomes recovery take longer time. And over a season, cherishing, being present, and peace is so much more desired than the chase of excitement. And this realization can, in fact, create success too. More of a sustainable long-term fulfillment rather than many short-term pursuit of highs. And this is the point where a lot of men, if we are fortunate enough to go through this is where the evolution of the POA man changes. The aligned man continues to work hard, however, in grounded presence. We no longer work to fill the gap, and we learn to cherish the in-between moments. And as the character shifts, taking action just to fill the gap, pursuit of the right direction becomes more important. And being present with ourselves or with lesser people, or maybe even in emptiness, becomes more meaningful than constant looking for things to perform. And as we draw safe emotional, spiritual, and physical boundaries, there will be lesser and lesser, eventually no guilt, as we are learning how to spend time for ourselves to nurture the one that truly matters, us. This calm confidence is not fake. It is allude naturally from the aligned energy that the man already himself possesses and has been practicing progressively over time. This energy is no longer about chasing for performance or pursuing or pleasure. It becomes self-contained, precious, and manageable. And that's where true quality works is an expression of the man through alignment, not trying to fill a gap. And the energy management difference over here is, let's take a look. The high performer is intensity driven, dopamine dependent, and when there's a peak, there's a crash, and the cycle goes on. Whereas for the alignment, we find our rhythm that drives us. The nervous systems gets regulated better and better over time. The quality and the output becomes more consistent and sustainable. And this consistency over time replaces the adrenaline chase of the high performing attractive man. And that is where longevity replaces urgency. And different seasons of our life, we may activate different sides of ourselves. And of course, in time to come, if we do not know this, alignment is more powerful than attraction. We will realize this overrun will burn us out. And over time, this part that continue to attract excitement, constant need for admiration, needing emotional highs and lows to feel alive, will eventually, fortunate to stumble upon this video, to realize there is a season for evolution where safety for self is important, the stability to be able to hold space for ourselves and others, rather than constantly drawing outline. And the trust becomes more permanent, becomes deeper, and that is where charisma and confidence move towards alignment and presence. And in time to come, the longevity of wealth management and also leadership, we have a choice to choose between the work hard, play hard model and the one who is truly aligned that builds more sustainable work, a sense of clearer judgment and stronger partnership with the people in their life. And the sustainability, my dear friends, alignment might take longer time to build, but in time to come, compound over time, we tend to keep more. And as we close with this evolution, most men move through these seasons of their life, from survival to performance to achievement, eventually leading to exhaustion. And we are lucky enough to find the true alignment that our spirit, mind, and body deserves. And many would think that being in alignment is about slowing down. It is not. It is truly building our inner self and removing any unnecessary noise or inner conflict. And the time for us to set clear goals based on the direction rather than the task to be constantly firefighting. This is the goal, not to stop working hard, my dear friends. This is not an excuse. The purpose of this message here is also to cultivate ourselves to become the man who can continue to sustain success without losing our peace. Because performance, yes, does attract opportunity, and that is where our alignment gets to keep them. With that, I hope this message serve you in many, many years to come and continue to walk this journey with you. This is Paul Teo. With love and success, I wish you well, and I'll see you soon.